Hello everyone, today's presentation is about language transfer in second language acquisition. Part 1, Introduction. So what is language transfer? Language transfer or cross-linguistic influence refers to the influence of a person's knowledge of one language on his knowledge or use of another language. Since the 1950s, language transfer has become the focus of foreign language acquisition research. The study of language transfer in language acquisition can be roughly divided into three periods, namely the period of contrastive analysis, the period of universal grammar, and the period of cognitive theory and neurophysiology. Now let's move to part 2. The earlier study of language transfer was mainly based on structural linguistics and behavioral psychology. For example, Liddell's constructive analysis hypothesis holds that the main obstacle in second language acquisition comes from the interference of the first language, because learners are used to transforming the form and meaning of the first language to the second language acquisition, in which the similarity between the first language and the second language leads to positive transfer, while the differences lead to negative transfer. This hypothesis aims to predict the possible difficulties in language learning by comparing the differences between languages, and then provide necessary information for language teaching. From the late 1960s to the early 1970s, the structuralism and behavioralism was greatly questioned and changed. At that time, the transfer research was mainly based on Chomsky-Martinez's theory of universal grammar. This theory analyzed the restrictive factors of language transfer and emphasized that not all differences between the first language and the second language will cause transfer, but the transfer depends on the marking degree of related components. Since the 1990s, the interlanguage has become the focus of researchers' study. It refers to a translational language system between the first language and the second language, which is constructed by learners in the process of SLA. In the 1980s, language acquisition was regarded as a natural psychological experience in the process of human cognitive processing. For example, Parliament investigating the phenomena of language transfer with the help of processability theory. It discussed the factors of language transfer and reviewed the restrictive effect of language processing ability on language transfer, and also predicted the development path of interlanguage. This theory provides a new perspective for the study of language transfer and has strong explanatory power. Now let's move to the final part. So first, as second language teachers, we should realize that language transfer is inevitable in SLA. In the process of second language teaching, we should adopt teaching methods such as contrastive approach and error analysis to compare the mother tongue and the target language so as to highlight the similarities and differences between the two languages. Making full use of the positive rules of the mother tongue transfer to create a language environment conducive to second language learning. In view of negative transfer of students' mother tongue, teachers can turn negative into positive by analyzing and explaining the errors caused by negative transfer to the students. Second, as second language learners, they need to understand the influence of language transfer on SLA as well, and know that their mistakes are inevitable, and free themselves from the fear of making mistakes, which is helpful for them to think actively in the process of SLA. Third, the phenomenon of mutual transfer between mother tongue and target language provides us with a practical basis for bilingual teaching. Bilingual teaching is a mode of teaching specificalized courses by using the second language as a medium, supplemented by the mother tongue. In this kind of classroom practice, teachers are allowed to properly use the mother tongue that students are familiar with so as to stimulate students' learning enthusiasm and reduce their anxiety. Here is the reference list. And thank you for watching.